Hi, so I want to talk a little bit about pregnancy with triplets and how it feels, kind of some of the things that I went through. In my experience, I am nowhere near done. I am 17 weeks one day today, and wanted to kind of just highlight the last 10 weeks and some of the major changes. I have a lot of this documented too on an Instagram page, a little bit more live and bump dates and all those kinds of things. So certainly check that out if you are interested in more detail. I am just trying to pull this out of memory, so if I miss something, that site is really helpful. My page over on Instagram, it's at Garber Party of Six. So in my last video, I talked about really what it was like coming to terms with having three babies, being pregnant with three. I don't know if I mentioned, but we transferred two embryos. I think I definitely talked about that, but one of the embryos ended up splitting, which is about a 1% chance of happening. So we have a set of identical twins and then a fraternal. So our twins share a sac, but they have a membrane between them and they share a placenta. And then our fraternal twin in its own sac and has its own placenta. Um, so at 7 weeks, we were still going to our fertility center. I was just feeling normal early pregnancy symptoms, but I was hyperdrive. I was super nauseous. I think I threw up one time, but I don't really count it as morning sickness. Nauseous all the time from 7 weeks until probably 12 weeks. I just felt like crap. Smells really put me off. I still can't eat chicken if it's made here. I can get takeout, but like the smell of cooking chicken and certain strong smells still set me off. But back then, 7, 8, 9 weeks, it was really just rough. It was smelling it, needing to lay down, needing to go upstairs. I started using Vicks Vapor Rub under my nose so that I knew I could block some of those smells out. But it was just mostly exhaustion and nausea. I was still having some of those um, just kind of crampy feelings, but really I would just say nausea and exhaustion were the main symptoms. Around 10 weeks, 10, 11 weeks is really when my belly started showing. I was shocked. Just was kind of looking and taking bump date pictures just because I wanted to remember each week. And I was a little heavier this pregnancy than I was with my first. And by a little, I mean a good 30 pounds heavier. Married life and having a toddler and going through fertility treatments will do that to you. But I knew I was starting at a heavier weight and I definitely had a little bit of a belly already. I had actually put a post together on Instagram about how self conscious I felt about having what looked like a baby belly before I was even pregnant. So I knew I had a little bit there already, but as soon as this started growing and rounding out a little bit, I could just tell. And you can kind of see the outline of your uterus when you're laying down. But I really started popping fast. And definitely by 10, 11 weeks, I was full on in maternity clothes. Didn't quite need the shirts yet, but the pants and not being able to button anything was really fast. And that happened pretty early with my first pregnancy, too. I think I started maybe 12, 13 weeks in maternity clothes. So, really, I would say I've been running about 4 weeks ahead, at least, with symptoms and size and just the way I've been kind of experiencing things. Um, but as soon as we started seeing the high risk doctor, which is a MFM or maternal fetal medicine specialist, I felt so much more comfortable about growth. I went in a couple of different times just to get ultrasounds of all the babies and just really track things. And then that first meeting with the MFM is kind of the scary meeting of here's what you're going through, here are the risks. Our doctor was really great and said, there's a topic we have to talk about, but you get to control how much we say. And it was around reduction. And I knew that conversation was going to come up. It was really, is that something you would ever consider? And my husband and I said no, unless it was medically necessary in order to have the others thrive. And so he didn't go any further. He said, okay, well, then we'll talk about it if that ever has to come up. Felt really comfortable with that office. He laid out that we would be starting around 16 weeks, coming in every other week, for ultrasounds, and then every other appointment would be with him or his colleague there. He also let us make a decision on if we wanted to switch our OB care to them as well. So he would now be both my high risk doctor and my normal OB, which I really appreciated, just having one place to go and not having to, explain everything twice with two different doctors. This is also in the same health system as the fertility clinic, so all of our files transferred over really easily, and it's the hospital that we're going to deliver at. So just a really good experience with doctor visits. Being able to see them on ultrasound was really cool. Obviously, they spend a little extra time since there's that many more babies. But really, those next couple of weeks were pretty simple. Just sleeping and trying to rest up and manage my nutrition. I started drinking Premier protein shakes twice a day, which really helped make sure I felt good, that I didn't get shaky in between meals, and just trying to eat what I could, and whatever sounded good, I ate it. I didn't really try to, manage things to a point. I hopped on the scale every now and then, didn't gain anything up until I still haven't really gained anything. But just noticed my body reproportioning. My legs got a little thinner, my arms got a little thinner, but my belly certainly got bigger. Um, and really, like that turn into the second trimester, like most people say, the nausea really slowed down. I started taking B6 and Unisom at night, and that really helped. I noticed if I stopped taking B6 that I got ill feeling again. Um, but really, it's just been that nausea has been really manageable, but the exhaustion and the out of breath feeling. And now, as I'm a little bit farther along, so like the 15, 16, 17 weeks, I can certainly show the belly shortly, but the pressure on my hips and my back. And I'm at my work desk right now, but I'm sitting all day long. So the pressure and just kind of sitting and having this big belly in the way really is the biggest thing I'm facing now, and being out of breath, not being able to stand for very long, walking around a store. Obviously, with COVID, we're not doing much of that, but got N95 masks so I could go run some errands for Valentine's Day. Um, but really, it's just tired and a little moody. I'm definitely snapping a little bit more frequently than I'd hope. My son is definitely getting the brunt of that, and I'm sure my husband doesn't like it either. Trying to work a lot harder on my temper and that short, just being really short with people. But the hardest part was going from 12 weeks to 16 weeks with no ultrasounds. That was just kind of our down period. We graduated from the fertility clinic right around the 11-week mark. Got to stop the progesterone suppositories. Um, but I'd gotten an ultrasound every week, if not every 2 weeks leading up to that. So I just missed having the reassurance that babies were okay. And friends had talked about getting a Doppler and using that to find heartbeats, and I just knew that would cause way more stress if I couldn't find a heartbeat. Or just to, there's three of them, so it's a whole lot more, going through that. So it was really difficult. Had one weekend where I did not drink enough water. I now have my gallon jug that helps remind me of how much water to drink, and it has kind of the times on it to get you through. Obviously, I'm a little behind, but I realize that helps reduce any of that Braxton Hicks kind of feeling, and it makes me just feel overall a whole lot better to be super hydrated. But coming up, we've got our next appointment will be next week at 18 weeks. Hopefully, I can hop on and share some updates every 2 weeks just to help. That was what I enjoyed the most, was trying to find people that broke down their pregnancy week by week, and just understanding kind of what to expect and how things would go. And I've certainly followed a lot of different stories where, someone had their babies really early, and then someone that went all the way to 36 weeks. And just being able to have a couple of different resources for triplet moms, I think, is my goal. So that appointment we've got, or I have next Friday, we scheduled our fetal echocardiogram for beginning of March. That's something that really they do for IVF patients as well as identical twins that share a placenta, just to make sure when they split, everything split well. So that'll be a really in-depth appointment. It's like 10:30 to 3. So taking a day off for that. And really just trying to balance work. I work, a pretty long day, and I'm sitting most days on conference calls. So just balancing that, getting up and walking around, dealing with the stuffy nose, and really just the kind of the main things that we're working through. I do have an amazing nurse that was assigned to me through our insurance program, and she calls on the weeks between my appointments, and we just check in, and she asks how I'm doing and if I have goals. We talked a lot about getting up and moving around a little bit more. I did prenatal yoga pretty intently with my first, and haven't done anything really this time around. So trying to walk 3 days a week and get some yoga in there. But other than that, it's staying safe. COVID is still around. It's still keeping us everybody inside and away from friends and family. So that's been really hard. But we worked really hard to get here, and I don't want to really risk much at all. Um, so I don't go anywhere other than to drop our son off at preschool, which is really well managed. We can't even go inside, and they do temp checks, and the kiddos wear masks if they're over 5. So just staying safe, keeping these babies growing, trying to get to that 36-week mark would be ideal, but I know that any time between 32 and 34 weeks is pretty average. But we'll certainly share more updates, keep everybody posted. Again, if you want more live, frequent updates and a little bit more in depth, my Instagram page, I've gotten really comfortable with posting pretty much every day or every couple of days there. But just happy to be able to share this, document it, let myself know how things went along the way, because when these little kids are 2 or 3 years old running around, I'm certainly going to forget this. But I will show a little belly shot just so you can see what a 17-week triplet belly looks like. So definitely big and round. Baby C is up here. A and B are down here. And we did have a little gender reveal. We're having twin boys and a fraternal girl. So really excited to share the journey and keep people updated. So until next time, thanks.